Hello, everyone. Today, I will be talking about a topic that is neither fun nor cutesy and is, in all actuality, kind of depressing. But if it helps one person get the help that they deserve, then it'll all be worth it. So, as you can tell from the title of the video, I will be talking about my experience after 1 month on antidepressants and my experience with online doctors prescribing medication, specifically Brightside, because that is the one that I used. If you're wondering if this video is sponsored, I have one subscriber and it's my boyfriend. So that's a no. There is no easy way to get into this. So yeah, we're just gonna start. I've been depressed for as long as I can remember. Should I have sought help sooner? Absolutely. But I did not for several reasons. Money, time, and the stigma. I feel like everyone acts like it's okay nowadays to be depressed. Like, oh, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. We're so open talking about our feelings and depression, blah, blah, blah. But at least personally, in my head, I still have this idea of seeking out help through the form of antidepressants is kind of cheating. It's a sign of weakness. I wasn't able to cope, everyone else is coping just fine. Why can't I? Sort of deal. It's a failing on my part. And beyond that, I also didn't seek help because of this kind of normalization that's been going on in the media of depression. Not to invalidate other people's experiences that really are going through depression, but I feel like there's just been it's become popular. It's almost become fashionable to be depressed or claim you're depressed whenever, not to be rude, but you're just kind of sad for a few months. And it minimizes and invalidates serious depression that I think a lot of people have. And I know it affected me. It minimized and invalidated my feelings I haven't left my bedroom for more than an hour in 2 weeks. But look at all these people that are also depressed. Everyone else is experiencing this. So therefore, it's fine that I'm doing this because that's just what everyone does. We're all depressed and that's just where we're at in society nowadays. But that is not the case. And if you are having a smaller bout of depression that you don't normally experience, please seek help, of course. But this video is for the people like me that have been extremely depressed for a very long time and have not sought help. Anyways, beyond that, I've just been depressed for so long. I'm 24 now, and it's kind of just gotten to this point. I think I've been depressed since middle school, because that's really whenever I started forming memories. But it's kind of just gotten to this point where I've been depressed for so long and I've made it this far, and look at me, I'm doing great. I can continue to do great. I can continue to fight and struggle and beat depression. I'm so strong. Look at me. I'm beating depression. I cleaned my bathroom today, even though I've needed to do it for 2 months. I'm really beating depression. Yeah. I also, I have the cyclical. I go through my highs and my lows. I feel like everyone does in life, but specifically relating to my depression, I go through ups and downs. And so I kind of, whenever I'm down enough to where I'm finally okay, this is really bad. I am going through a really bad time. I need to seek help. And I don't have the energy for it. And I kind of always make a deal in my head. I'm okay, this is really bad. You're going to seek help. Don't worry about that right now because you are in such a bad spot that you don't have the energy, you don't have the mental fortitude to deal with making an appointment, to deal with actually following through and going to a doctor, to deal with payment. How much is it going to be? Blah, blah, blah. Deal with that whenever you're feeling better, but you need to seek help. But then every time I'm feeling better, I don't because I'm feeling better and I'm fine and I got through that and like it'll never get that bad again, you know, and it's totally fine. And if I made it through that, I can make it through it again if it does happen, which it totally won't because look at how good I am right now. And then it happens again. And yeah, I just never sought help whenever I should have a very long time ago. So with that, my experience with online doctors and online medication, I will be talking about Brightside because that is the one that I came to. I don't remember how I settled on Brightside or how I came to it. I don't know if I was like browsing something and I clicked a link or if I Googled something and clicked a link. I don't remember. I just remember like being on the Brightside website and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So there are other options if you want to shop around. I think there are like cheaper options. I think some they can offer like anti-anxiety as well. And there's like more expensive options as well. There's even a more expensive option with Brightside, which I'll get into. Whatever, there's options. I'm going to talk about Brightside because it's what I use. What's so weird about me finally like seeking treatment for this online is that I already got birth control through the internet for like years. Shout out to Project Ruby if that's something you need. It's like $15-20 a month. They're great as well. But it just like never clicked for me that you could also get like antidepressants through the internet. I just kind of like, I thought it was like only a birth control thing because like they give birth control out like freaking candy, you know, like you just show up and they're just like, here you go. Anyways, so I don't remember how I came to Brightside, but I will say, okay, here's something I think a lot of my fellow depressioners, my fellow depressed folk can understand, which is not even the going to the appointment, but the actual making of a doctor's appointment to talk about depression is such a hurdle in and of itself that it's very difficult to even make that first step. And doing it online, that kind of, it makes it easier. It really does make it easier because, you know, making an appointment through a doctor's office, you usually have to call. Like half the time you can't even just like do it through the internet, or they'll like call you to confirm. And talking on the phone terrifies me. I am a 24-year-old woman who struggles to talk on the phone with doctors. It scares me so much. And so you don't have to do that. It's all online. And then you actually have to like get out of bed and get ready to go to the doctor to talk about how sad you are. You know, like, hey doc, I'm so sad. I need pills for it. Like, that's just mortifying. That's just so scary and so difficult to do and to take that step. And then you have to actually like be in the doctor's office, which is, you know, you go up to the glass where they like slide it open. Like, why can't we even see the nurses? Whatever. I don't know. It's just so like sterile and impersonal. And I feel like, you know, whenever you talk to the doctor, they like kind of just like don't even care. Like, you're not like a real problem, you know, they're just like, yeah, whatever. I also haven't been to the doctor in a very long time, so whatever. But yeah, and getting antidepressants through the internet, it kind of diminishes a lot of that. A lot of that just goes away because you just make the appointment online and there's this like safety and this comfort in knowing that at any point I can X out of the tab. I can X out of the Zoom meeting, I can close my laptop and not respond to any emails they send me and just never deal with it again. I can just, at any point, I can just disappear. And that's just something I thought about doing one time, and I never have to tell anyone. And that's just there's so much safety and comfort there. Something about that just really made me feel a lot better. And then also the fact that I don't have to get ready and go there. I was just in my bed in my pajamas in this Zoom meeting, just talking to this doctor. And so that's something that I think is especially helpful for people with depression, and why this service and other services like it are so great and so beneficial, and why, if you are depressed, I think you should consider seeking them out. So the actual meeting with the doctor, so they gave me a schedule. They were here's the dates and times that are open. And I was well, I don't have a job right now, Corona, so I'll take the soonest one. And then, they send you an email hey, you need to download Zoom and make sure it's working. And then we'll send you an invite. And they sent me an invite an hour before my meeting, an hour before my, what's it called? With a patient and a doctor? Appointment. An hour before my appointment. They sent me an email that had a link to Zoom. I've never used Zoom. It was super easy. So that was super helpful as well, that it wasn't I had to figure out how to, navigate this new website. I did have to set up Zoom for a personal account beforehand, but that was super easy. And then the Zoom meeting. So they sent me the link. I was in the waiting room, probably 15, 20 minutes before I was supposed to be, before it started, my appointment was, just because I also have anxiety. I don't know. I don't want to keep the doctor waiting. I'm if you're ready earlier, I'm here, no pressure. But also I can't do anything else right now. I'm just too nervous thinking about it. So I may as well just sit there and be ready. I was going to be playing on my phone anyway. And yeah, then the doctor just clicks on, and there you are having the conversation. And it's weird. It is weird. I'm not going to lie, because I don't know. The doctor was just hello, how are you feeling? What's wrong? And I just talked to him about what's wrong. I was just telling him about how I just want the energy to get out of bed. I just want things to not be as hard as they are all the time. And, I'm kind of sad all the time. Just telling him my experience. And he was okay, so I hear what you're saying. And I remember one thing that was really interesting was he asked me, what do you want out of your medication? And I was just I just want it to be easier to get out of bed. I just want energy. I just want energy to do something other than watch a TV show I don't even really like all day. And yeah. So then he prescribed me Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin 150. And I'm going to get into that in a second, because I want to backtrack. And I also want to say something that he said to me a lot that was really helpful, that I don't really experience, I think, with many doctors, is just the sense of he was there to help me. He was there to listen to what I was experiencing and to get me the help that I needed. It wasn't like he was determining whether or not I was depressed enough to get the pills, He was legitimately just tell me your experiences. And I was I'm experiencing this. And he was okay, what do you want? And I was I want this. And he was okay, I think this is what is going to help you. And I was cool. And there we go. And then he prescribed me the Wellbutrin and went through the usual, here's why I prescribed you Wellbutrin, and here's what you may or may not experience. And, you know, there's I think you called it the black box warning, which I think you get for like all antidepressants, which is like, whenever you start taking them, you have a lot more energy, but without a change in mood. And so if you have like suicidal or self-harm thoughts, you know, that might be like super amped up. You finally have the energy to do it without the change in mood. So, you know, that is a serious thing. He warned me about that. I personally don't have any thoughts of suicide or self-harm. You know, I just kind of like, I'm like a lump. But yeah, it was good to know. And like, who knows, you know, with medications, who knows how you're going to react, because everyone's different. And yeah, then he was like, okay, cool, thank you so much, and clicked away. And that was it. And a few days later in the mail, I had the antidepressants. And I also want to add, getting the medication in the mail. Super helpful for everything, because again, like adding on to one more barrier is even after you make the appointment and they give you the prescription, then you have to go to the pharmacy, and then the pharmacy, you have to wait for them to like fill your prescription, and then you have to go back. Like that's just more and more steps that are just so hard to complete whenever you're depressed. And so just the ease of just having it delivered in the mail, just such a weight off. Just such a like, okay, I just need to wait and they'll be here. And yeah. One more thing that I'm recording after that I'm probably going to put in later. But anyways, one more thing is, before the appointment, they had me like through the Brightside website fill out like a series of questions, like on an average day, how would you like rate your mood? Like what is your anxiety level? Blah, 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 stuff like that. Obviously not that straightforward, but that sort of thing. How many hours do you sleep in a day? How much trouble do you have sleeping? That sort of stuff. How much is sexual function important to you with the medication that you receive? Because that is a side effect. And then they had me like type up a little bit about what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing. And it was very clear that the doctor had read through that before he like clicked into the meeting, which, you know, was super helpful because he already had a sense of what was going on. I didn't have to like sit here and just parrot everything that I had just like written down to him again, and he would just kind of like nodded his head. And it didn't feel like they just fed my numbers into a computer and the computer was like, Wellbutrin 150, and the doctor like flipped over the paper and he's like, oh, Wellbutrin 150. Like it really felt like personal, and that he read through what I had said and then listened to what I said in the meeting. And the fact that he like was like prepared, you know, again, it's been a while since I've been to the doctor, but I feel like they always just like kind of rush into the room and then they like start reading your chart and they're like trying to understand it while they're talking to you. Like, so, you know, like he already knew what was up, and that just like was also super helpful. And it just felt very professional, and it felt very like, we actually care about you and are actually here to help, as opposed to the doctor normally just like, cool, so you need like birth control? Like that's why you're here, I assume, because you're like a young woman? Anyways. So last thing about Brightside before we move on to my experience on Wellbutrin. Something I really appreciated and valued as well is the transparency of cost. And that's just something you don't get with doctors, especially with the like insurance or no insurance, you know, like what's going to happen, like you, like how much is going to be covered. And yeah, anyways, there's a lot of uncertainty there. And, you know, like there was a lot of, I don't know if I can afford to go to the doctor. So like make the idea of making an appointment, and then, you know, even if they do tell me over the phone, it's like $70, but then, oh, that was if you had insurance. We thought you had insurance, you know, whatever. Brightside, very transparent about the cost. It is $95 per month for the service, and then an extra $15 per month for the medication. And if you have insurance, I think in some states the medication can be covered, the 15, but not the 95, but also I don't know enough to speak on that. But and so what Brightside offers is the medication, and they also offer therapy for more. I think it was like $250 for the therapy add-on, and I assume that's like a Zoom meeting style thing with a therapist. I can't afford that, so I just did the medication only, and so it's $110 per month, which, like, it is expensive for what is essentially just a prescription for Wellbutrin. But here's the deal. I also have access to this doctor, like, whenever. If I have a problem, I can just shoot a message out and they will reply, which that's part of the thing too. Like, say I do go to a doctor and they do prescribe me the same thing, Wellbutrin 150, but it doesn't work out and I do have problems, like, then I have to go through the whole process again and how much is it going to cost again and all that, as opposed to this where there's literally like, you scroll down the page, halfway down the page, have a question for your doctor, boom, and a little send button. It's just that simple. And that's super helpful. Just that sense of security and knowing exactly how much I'm going to be charged every month. And beyond that, for $110 a month, you also get the online therapy courses. So there's 2 different ones. Both are available at all times. And one of them is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which I really enjoy. I meditate. I'm one of those people, and there's just like a sense of reassurance, like the way they go through it. I think lesson 1, they talk about, like, you are a human being with a monkey brain. You were not designed to exist in this world. You were designed to hunt or gather. You weren't designed to deal with social media, deal with the way work environments are. Your brain just wasn't set up for that, and that's fine. And it's fine if you're not handling things okay. And then, each week there's another lesson, and it's interactive. You type up some stuff, and they send you an email as well to remind you, like, hey, time for your lesson. And it's so fast. Like, I think it's no more than like 15, maybe 20 minutes if you really take your time, which is also super convenient because I have 15, 20 minutes to do this. It's not like a whole commitment of going to a therapist. That's the CBT option. There's also another kind of therapy, which is just like a little bit more generic, like, what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of goals do you want to achieve? What goals do you want to achieve from your medication? Like, when will you think that you're not depressed? Like, for example, I was like, I want to make like 1 video per week for 1 month. Like, that's really like where I think I'll be okay. And like actual like content videos, but whatever. And then one of them was set a schedule. Like, what do you want to accomplish this week that you have trouble doing? And it was stuff that was like, it was really reassuring to read that this was the suggested, what do you want to accomplish this week? Which was, how many times do you want to brush your teeth and floss? How many times do you want to shower? How many times, and it's just like, oh, thank God. Like, other people struggle with, like, whenever you're with showering as often as you need to. It's gross to admit. It's embarrassing to admit. But, sometimes it's been 3-4 days. You need to, but just like taking that step is so difficult. And it has its ups and downs. Like, it is very generic. And, the whole, I don't have trouble showering right now because I don't have a job and I need something to do anyways during my day. And so it's just kind of weird. It's kind of a weird time, like, my situation right now is just kind of weird without a job and this whole like uncertainty of the future. So is the CBT, I feel like, is more my speed. The other one isn't really working for me so much. They're like, set a schedule. And it's like, sure, the schedule may work for the next 2 weeks, but what happens whenever I get a new job? Like, who even knows what that's going to be? Who even knows if I'm going to get a job in 2 weeks? Anyways, that's an option as well. So is it a little expensive? Yes, it is $110 per month for essentially like the prescription and then some generic like online therapy. But the being able to do it online, the ability to have a problem and have access to your doctor at any time, and the therapy that is available. And they also do check-ins. You know, they check in with you every week. They send you an email like, hey, check-ins are important. We want to know how you're doing to make sure that everything's working okay. And, you know, your doctor isn't going to do that. I mean, maybe you have a great doctor, but I don't know about a doctor that calls you every week to see how your medication is doing. I feel like it's more of a call me if you have any problems sort of deal. Anyways, and that's also Brightside. I don't know about the other ones, but I like it. I think it's worth it, especially for where I'm at in my life. And yeah, with that, Wellbutrin 150. So, before I get into my experience on Wellbutrin, I really cannot express this enough. Wellbutrin is what my doctor recommended for me. I am not at all saying, ask your doctor if Wellbutrin is right for you, because I am 24 and all I have is a high school diploma. Actually, I don't even have a high school diploma. Hold on. You can see here that I don't actually have my high school diploma. I turned in this textbook, but I turned it in too late. And so they gave me this whenever I crossed the stage instead of my actual diploma. And I did call them like a week or two later trying to get my actual diploma, but they were like, oh no, sorry, it still says you owe this much money. And I was like, no, like I turned in that textbook, and they're like, system says you didn't. And I was like, well, guess I'm not getting my diploma. Like, I'm not paying that. And yeah. Wait. Unless you're a future employer, in which case I totally have my high school diploma. So definitely don't like be like, oh my god, this like 24-year-old woman on the internet whose greatest accomplishment is bleeding tables said that I should be on Wellbutrin. No. Listen to your doctor. I went to school for 12 years. I only remember like 2.5, if we're being generous, of them. And I live my life based on that. And these doctors went to school for another 12 years. And that school was way harder than whatever I went to. So don't ask for Wellbutrin. Just be honest with what you're experiencing. And whatever they recommend is whatever they recommend. And that's what you should take. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you try something else later on. I'm going to talk about Wellbutrin because that's what I'm on, but please don't tell your doctors what to do. Okay, moving on. So, yeah, Wellbutrin 150. The pills came in the mail, and my doctor told me to take them in the morning with food because one of the side effects is nausea, which I did experience. On and off, I have never really eaten breakfast in my life. I'm more of a start eating around 3 or 4 p.m. type of gal. Service industry represent. But in all seriousness, like probably the hardest adjustment I've had to make is eating breakfast and eating like a real breakfast. I tried to go a couple days where I just had like one hard-boiled egg for breakfast because I was like, food is food, and like take with food just means like something in your stomach. And it's like, no, you have to have like real food in there, like a bowl of cereal with oat milk, or like a few eggs with like maybe some veggies in there or something. You have to have real food for breakfast early in the day. And that's weird and difficult, but otherwise I was getting nauseous. And like I have to go lay down in a dark room just like by myself, just kind of like staring at a wall, just like, okay. And not like to where I was going to throw up nauseous, just like that rolling like, oh, okay. You just feel like garbage. And then I also had the side effect of I had to drink tons of water, just like absurd amounts of water. Otherwise I was getting headaches, like really bad headaches. But those are the only two side effects I really experienced. And honestly, not that bad for the payoff because that resolved itself within the week. It was also just kind of like a shock to my body, you know? And the side effects for Wellbutrin, and I think most antidepressants, it's extensive. It's all of them. Literally, you remember those commercials like Cymbalta, and then there's a guy and he's like, and he just like mentions like every side effect you could possibly have. Antidepressants. But I mean that kind of resolved itself in a week for me. But also there was that safety in that if it got really bad, I could just message my doctor and be like, hey man, I'm so nauseous, I can't function every day. What's up with that? And he would either give me advice or change medication or something like that. Whatever. I had that available to me. So, yeah. Taking Wellbutrin, first couple days were weird. I was just super nauseous and super headachy because I didn't know like what was going on, and trying to force myself to eat breakfast at 10 a.m. whenever I don't. It was just really difficult to make that adjustment. And yeah, but then I kind of like evened out. And if you've ever seen The Good Place, which if you haven't, you should, welcome. Everything is okay. Everything is going to be fine. Yeah. Welcome. Everything is going to be fine. It was finally fine. Like, it was just okay. The like constant like crisis, panic mode. I just kind of like in the back of your head, that like tension of like screaming, it just wasn't there. Which I didn't think was possible. I thought that was just like how living was. Like it took care of a problem that I didn't even realize was there in that respect. I just wanted more energy, but the like also disappeared. And it was just like the world isn't on fire and you're not in the bottom of a pit. It's okay. And I was just like, and just being okay was so incredible. I had not felt okay in a very, very long time. Something I think y'all can relate to is like, if you ever had like a really good day, where you're not super depressed and you had a cup of coffee and it like worked the way you expect coffee to, and you just like, you're not like chipper over the top, but just like, it's okay. You know, just like you're awake, you're present, and you're ready to like actually do things. Like everything isn't a chore. That has been my experience. I have never in my life done a chore without it being an absolute chore. It has always been so difficult for me to do anything. And I've been able to like force myself. I've been able to force myself to to do what I know needs to be done. Maybe not when it should be done, but eventually. Anyways, I've been able to get it done. You know, my room will get way messier than I would like. My room, everything will get way messier than I would like. My self-care would dip. I wouldn't drink as much water or whatever. And eventually I would be able to like force myself to do it, but I finally wasn't forcing myself. Like, I think my 4th or 5th day on Wellbutrin, everything kind of evened out and I wasn't nauseous or headachy anymore, and I was kind of like figuring out what's going on. I woke up and we have like a tiny bathroom. It's just like the toilet, the sink, the tub, and like the minimal amount of space you need to get to those things. I think I spent like 2 hours cleaning it because I was like, you know what? Like, whatever, man. Here we go. And I just scrub, put my headphones in. Music sounds good again. Like, sometimes I would force myself, not so much force myself, but I would try to like jumpstart good feelings by listening to music that I like. But if I'm like really down, even if I listen to music I really like, I just like it even less. I kind of hate it for trying to make me feel good whenever I feel bad. How dare you? Like, music is good again, and I enjoy listening to it. It feels like whenever I listen to music, like whenever I was like 16, you know, and you're like in the car with your friends and you're like jamming. I like had that experience again. So yeah, I have so much more energy. You can even tell like from my videos. I posted like 2 videos and then I didn't for a month. And now I'm posting videos like every 5-6 days or so. And I'm just like keeping up with my chores, doing like, you know, you always hear about people saying like chores are easier if you just like do a really big clean and then maintain. It's way easier to maintain than do a big clean. And it's like, I'm sorry, who is this mythical person that is able to maintain cleaning every day? Like, who cleans every day? But now, like, I wake up and I'll spend like 20 minutes or so, you know, take out the cat box. I vacuum the couch because someone sheds a lot. And, you know, I'll like just clean up a little. I'll set the Roomba or I'll like sweep a little, you know, whatever. And like, that's the thing. It's, you know, whatever. Instead of just like, okay, I need to make myself do the minimal amount of chores. Otherwise, I won't be able to relax and just like enjoy my day. And so, yeah, everything just kind of like, it got so much easier that I kind of like understood why those like peppy people that I hate are the way they are. I was kind of just like, oh, like that's what they're feeling, just like. But yeah, it was good for, you know, the first few days were weird, 4 or 5 days were weird, and it was good for like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and then, you know, put out a bunch of job applications, and nobody has called us except scammers. And, you know, just kind of like being inside for 2 months, 60 days now, it gets to you, man. And I just started feeling down again. You know, you read the news and you just feel down again. And yeah, I was feeling worse. And, you know, I was doing my check-ins. And so I guess my 1 month on Wellbutrin had come up. And so I had like a more extensive check-in. Like the previous weeks, it was kind of just like, how are you feeling? And I was like, great, fine. You know, like whatever. Like 2 or 3 questions. And then I guess like at the 1 month mark, they sent me like a long questionnaire, like it was whenever I was prescribed it in the beginning, like the first one where it was like 20 questions with like, you know, varying degrees of answers. And then you type in a little message to your doctor. Optional. Like, is there anything else you want your doctor to know? You know, you don't even have to type anything. And so, you know, I filled out the questionnaire and I typed in, I was like, you know, like, I felt really good. Now, not so good, but, you know, just life and circumstance. Things are weird right now. And, you know, I felt like it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But, you know, still progress, and I'm okay, and I'm really happy that this is working for me, and thank you for your time. And I filled this out at like 4 p.m. on a Friday. I wasn't expecting a reply at all, and I figured at minimum I would get a reply like on Monday, you know, kind of like, glad to hear it's working for you. But then after I submitted that, it gave me my score. Like it scores your depression every time you do a check-in. And my score said that I was even less depressed than I had been at my last check-in. And I was just like, great. Now, if I do get an email, it's going to be like, well, you said in your message that you were feeling worse, but your score says that you're feeling better. So, like, which one's lying and blah, blah, blah. You know, I was just like, great. Now I'm going to have to, like, explain myself. I'm going to be accused. It's going to be, like, weird. Whatever, you know? Okay. And I just kind of, like, left my phone in the other room, or, like, I had it on silent or something. I didn't check it for a few hours, but I had a message from my doctor at 4:30 that was like, sorry to hear you're not doing so hot, but glad to hear you were for a minute. You know, just kind of like general stuff. I'm going to bump up your medication to Wellbutrin 300. Boom. Like, oh my God. I wasn't expecting my medication to get bumped up. I wasn't like asking or seeking like, I'm still sad. Can I have like more pills? You know, I wasn't like doing anything like that. I was just being honest with my doctor, just kind of like, yeah, you know, like it was really good. Now, not so much, but like, you know, things are weird. It's probably just like circumstance. And I wasn't even expecting a reply. And so, yeah, the fact that that happened was just so awesome and so incredible and so something you won't, I think, get with most normal doctors, you know? So yeah. So I've been on Wellbutrin 300 for a few days now, and just like the energy levels have already come back. And I also want to say that even if I hadn't been put on Wellbutrin 300, even before I started taking that, I had a slump. I had a depressive slump. It was nowhere near as long as they normally are. It was 4 or 5 days, which is unheard of. You know, like once I get like down in there, I'm down in there for minimum 2 weeks. And, you know, just like, before I finally like start feeling okay. Not even good, but like okay. And it's normally much, much, much longer, but I finally felt okay. Okay. One more thing I want to say. Okay, I keep saying one more thing. I'm going to say that a lot of times. It's like 5 more things. Anyways, one more thing I want to say. Whenever I started Wellbutrin 150, I remember the day that, like, I remember the moment that I was like, oh my God, I'm okay. It was a few days in, you know, the nausea and the headaches had passed, and I had more energy, but like I wasn't like feeling good. I was just like, you know, energy. And I was on my phone and I saw a meme, and it wasn't a video, it was a still image, and I was sober and I laughed out loud. Ladies and gentlemen, in my entire life, that has never happened. You know, like a Vine will get me, or like I'll laugh out loud at a video, but like a still image, I will never laugh out loud at. I will for like friends, like, you know, like that photo you're showing me is so funny and totally not like kind of racist. Anyways, you know, but like this was just like me on the couch, just like on my phone. I was just like, I laughed out loud and it was incredible. And yeah, that was really big for me. I didn't know that was a thing people did or could do like ever without being like super drunk. Anyways, alrighty then. We've come to our closing remarks for the video. This went way longer than I planned it to. So if you've made it this far, you should probably seek help. I'm going to armchair psychologist with not even her high school diploma diagnose you with you should seek some help. And yeah, doing the dishes doesn't have to be the end of the world. Coming from someone who doing the dishes was the end of the world since she's had to do dishes. And yeah, with that, thank you. Good night. And it can be better. It's not so bad. You can seek help. You don't deserve to experience what you're experiencing, and if you just take the first step, it'll be okay.